Dinar Shift, what we're witnessing today may be the most profound financial transformation in the history of the modern Iraqi state. For an era that has spanned many years, the question of whether the Iraqi dinar's revaluation, often referred to as the RV, would ever transition from an abstract concept to a tangible reality has fueled immense global discussion. Yet as the calendar turns into 2025, a flood of new, authenticated information stemming directly from internal banking systems strongly suggests that the long-anticipated change is not merely a proposal for the future, but rather a process that is already actively unfolding right now. This is a critical distinction, separating genuine, verifiable operational changes from the background hum of persistent speculation and historical conjecture. We are now observing a live, concerted action being taken behind the highly secure, closed environments of major international financial networks, with trusted sources confirming that significant internal rate adjustments are currently undergoing real-time stress testing. The essence of this massive undertaking lies in the simultaneous synchronization of exchange rates between Iraq's primary financial authority, the Central Bank of Iraq (CBI), and a carefully selected group of international financial institutions spanning the globe. Frank, a commentator whose perspective has been followed for a considerable time within the dinar community, has brought forth deeply insightful specifics that paint an undeniable picture. He asserts that the global banking sector has already moved past the planning stages and is immersed in the final preparations for what could arguably become the most impactful currency restructuring seen anywhere in this entire decade. Viewers must remain focused on the details that follow, as we will meticulously unravel the precise mechanisms through which this change is being executed and elaborate on what these internal banking developments inherently signify for all those who hold the currency, closely track its movements, and have maintained a long-term interest in Iraq's economic recovery. The most immediate and significant piece of information to be recognized is the confirmed internal movement now taking place within the Central Bank of Iraq. According to the most recent rigorously verified briefings, the CBI has officially initiated the process of adjusting the digital exchange rate systems across the nation's entire private banking infrastructure. This operational step is the critical mechanism that facilitates the structured stage-by-stage removal of the long-standing, historically suppressed exchange rate, which has hovered around the relatively stable mark of 310 Iraqi dinars for every $1. For an extended period, the successive Iraqi governments have maintained a public commitment to restoring the authentic value of their national currency, yet the critical, globally visible rollout always appeared perpetually distant. However, the latest comprehensive reports strongly indicate that these system updates have graduated entirely from the hypothetical realm of planning and are now entirely live-functioning operations. Frank has compellingly illustrated that a select number of banks operating within Iraq are now actively running live, real-time transactional simulations. During these highly controlled tests, the dinar is being intentionally traded within their internal systems at a range of new, significantly structured and higher values. The sole, overriding purpose of these extensive internal testing periods is to guarantee a state of absolute system stability and operational readiness before any of these new values are allowed to be broadcasted and published on the international stage. It is conceptually useful to view this crucial period as an extended soft opening phase, meticulously preceding the eventual grand reveal. The entire digital and physical infrastructure is being thoroughly yet quietly vetted, and banking insiders are confident that the final countdown toward full public visibility is a process that has not only begun but is already deeply underway. The nature of the change being implemented is transformative. It involves the systematic upgrade of a financial network that has remained largely static for over a decade. Imagine a vast, complex engine that has been idling in neutral now seamlessly transitioning into drive. The core of this process involves enhancing Iraq's digital financial framework from the ground up, a deep infrastructural update. Officials from the CBI have explicitly verified that local banks have commenced a comprehensive transition to the updated rate management systems, all in direct anticipation of complete global synchronization. This monumental effort includes establishing robust digital interfaces and linking up with world-leading digital payment processors and cross-border transaction platforms such as Visa, MasterCard, and similar services. In essence, the newly developed Iraqi financial system is being architected with the explicit goal of ensuring it can communicate fluidly and without any transactional friction with the vast network of global financial hubs. Frank highlighted that these essential cross-border connections are currently operating in a live, fully tested mode, which is a crucial detail. This critical phase is designed to ensure that the moment the international exchange rate is finally adjusted, every single financial transaction, whether it originates in a bank in Baghdad or is processed by a firm in New York, will execute and settle with absolute, guaranteed seamlessness. This integration is far more extensive than a simple currency exchange adjustment. It signals the deliberate construction of a fully digital, modern, and highly integrated national economy. The consistent, quiet nature of these internal updates is itself the strongest indication that an event of unprecedented significance is definitively in progress. Turning our attention to the confidential operations occurring within the walls of these financial institutions, recent verifiable updates indicate that specific Iraqi banks have been mandated to maintain parallel ledger systems. One ledger continues to operate using the existing, public-facing exchange rate, while the second, critically important ledger utilizes the newly calculated and structured rate. This carefully managed dual system approach is designed to allow for a gradual, measured transition without creating any disruption or instability within the existing daily flow of customer transactions. This is a foundational element of the process's stability. Frank has disclosed that this specific phase is professionally termed implementation alignment. It represents the period during which the domestic Iraqi banks commence their formal interactions with international financial systems while strictly operating under the framework of the new, updated exchange structures. The fact that these actions are currently not visible to the general public is not an accident, it is a fundamental design principle. The strategic intent here is to guarantee that Iraq's entire domestic banking environment is perfectly harmonized with internationally recognized rate standards well before the critical data is released globally. This guarantees the avoidance of any potential technical failures, completely mitigates the risk of a destabilizing currency shock, and ensures full compliance with the rigorous regulatory frameworks established by organizations like the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the U.S. Treasury. Viewed from an external perspective, the progress may appear to be slow and painstakingly methodical. However, within the internal banking operations, the entire process is being executed with intense, highly coordinated precision. Every single internal test performed and every minor adjustment made is a calculated step preparing for the eventual moment when the new, official rate will be simultaneously reflected across every single major global financial market. This phase is best understood as the silent calm preceding the highly visible storm of a worldwide currency adjustment. The unfolding scenario becomes particularly compelling when we consider the reports indicating that numerous major international financial institutions are already participating in synchronization testing directly with the Iraqi CBI. This list includes some of the most globally recognized banking entities, names like Wells Fargo, Chase, and HSBC, which adds a significant layer of credibility. Importantly, these extensive tests are entirely digital in nature, occurring between highly specialized banking servers, not across traditional teller windows. This is the precise reason why the overwhelming majority of bank customers have not yet perceived any changes in their day-to-day interactions. Behind the scenes, in a largely unobservable digital environment, banking servers are undergoing continuous updates, complex digital exchange tables are being refreshed and validated, and sophisticated Forex systems are constantly calibrating to instantly recognize and integrate the new dinar values. Stated simply, the comprehensive technical infrastructure required for the revaluation event is being securely locked into its final operational place. Frank has firmly underscored that this development is not fueled by speculative chatter but rests entirely on verifiable, authenticated digital alignment that is actively being implemented. The U.S. Treasury, according to multiple sources, is reportedly maintaining a close watch over this entire synchronization process, fulfilling its regulatory role to ensure complete compliance and overall market stability. Once this critical digital synchronization phase reaches its successful conclusion, the immediately following step will be the achievement of full international visibility. This is the precise moment when the confirmed new exchange rates will begin to appear publicly reflected on major Forex trading platforms, official bank display screens, and integrated currency conversion systems worldwide. All the essential pieces of this complex financial puzzle are currently moving into their predetermined positions, and the precision of the timing being observed is noteworthy, suggesting a high degree of international coordination. Naturally, the most frequently asked and critical question revolves around the specific numerical values being tested internally. Although no formal, public confirmation has been released from official channels, internal sources are indicating that the in-country testing rates utilized within Iraq are ranging domestically from approximately 0.66 to 1.9 dinars per $1. This, it must be noted, is strictly for internal domestic usage. However, the international contract rate, the rate that would ultimately apply to external exchanges and global trade settlements, is rumored to be substantially higher. The current early indications from these confidential internal tests are pointing toward an international exchange range that hovers between 3.90 and 4.25 per single dinar. This is a significant prospective shift. It is crucial to internalize that these values are integral components of a highly structured, phased rollout and are therefore still subject to stabilization. They possess the potential to shift modestly before the eventual, final public revelation. The most important, overarching takeaway is the clear signal that the era of the dinar possessing only a fractional, suppressed value is drawing to a close. Iraq's national currency is making a deliberate structural move toward an economy-backed, globally recognized strength. The entire ongoing process has definitively moved beyond the realm of pure financial speculation and has become an active, observable stage of activation. For the countless long-term investors and currency holders who have patiently maintained their positions, this operational phase may very well be the critical period where years of deeply held anticipation finally transition into a verifiable reality. Importantly, Iraq is not moving in isolation. The Vietnamese Dong, a currency frequently discussed in direct association with the dinar, appears to be following a strikingly similar trajectory. Reports strongly suggest that Vietnam is strategically aligning its own currency adjustments to coordinate directly with Iraq's operational timeline. This parallel movement is occurring because both nations are understood to be integral components of a larger, overarching framework for global economic synchronization. Unofficial figures point toward the dong's potential international contract rate falling somewhere in the range of 2.30 to 3.0 per unit. If these figures are accurate, it collectively indicates that both currencies are being intentionally positioned for a major revaluation under the umbrella of a broader global financial reset. Frank has insightfully characterized this dual coordination as a basket linkage, meaning that a specific cluster of currencies is being adjusted in a synchronized manner. This coordinated approach is essential for preventing the creation of any destabilizing market imbalances during the transition. Both the IMF and the World Bank are reportedly fully apprised of these developments, ensuring that all applicable international regulatory guidelines are being scrupulously adhered to. The undeniable fact that multiple sovereign nations are simultaneously aligning their digital banking frameworks adds an enormous measure of structural credibility to the developments currently underway. This is clearly not simply a localized financial reform restricted to one country. It is a component of a much larger global recalibration effort. The reason why 2025 has emerged as the critical pivotal year is fundamentally rooted in global macroeconomic forces. The government of Iraq has dedicated the last 2 years to a comprehensive restructuring of its entire economy with the specific goal of progressively reducing its historical dependency on the US dollar. With the stability of oil prices now solidified and the export of non-oil commodities experiencing significant growth, the nation has finally achieved the necessary financial and economic position to realistically restore the true, intrinsic value of its national currency. The precise timing of this currency move aligns perfectly with the current and ongoing global shift toward massive digital finance reforms. A large and growing number of countries are actively introducing advanced new systems for seamless cross-border payments, many of which utilize modern blockchain-based network infrastructure. Iraq's newly developed digital dinar infrastructure is designed to fit precisely and efficiently into this global payment shift. Frank has explicitly explained that Iraq's deliberate move toward settling a greater volume of its international trade directly in dinar, rather than relying exclusively on the dollar, is a clear sign of the global dollarization trend currently sweeping across many parts of the world. Once the revaluation achieves full global recognition, it possesses the potential to fundamentally reconfigure how both oil trade and financial transactions are conducted throughout the entirety of the Middle East region. This is clearly much more than a simple numerical change in an exchange rate. It represents an economic revolution actively in progress. Frank also shed light on the strategic importance of the recently introduced Iraq 50 dinar note, describing it not as a simple currency update, but as a strategic signal. He refers to it as the bridge note, because its purpose is to create a tangible connection between the old suppressed value system and the new, revalued economic structure. In real-world practical terms, this means that smaller, foundational denominations, including the 50, 100, and 250 dinar notes, will soon come to represent a substantially increased purchasing power. This subtle but significant change assists the Iraqi public in psychologically and practically transitioning from an environment of old, inflated numbers to one of realistic, verifiable economic values. The introduction of this note is a sophisticated, calculated move designed to prepare the entire population for the economic realities of daily life in a significantly stronger domestic economy. The bridge note, therefore, is more than just a piece of printed paper. It serves as the first clear, publicly visible step toward the full international rate. For those holding dinar or dong, the advice remains clear: maintain composure, exercise patience, and prioritize preparation. Frank and other reliable analysts have cautioned that while the underlying system is now active and moving, not all individual banks or every branch location are immediately prepared for public exchanges. Certain branches may still be operating on the older, legacy rate structure. Consequently, walking into an unprepared branch today to inquire about the dinar might result in confused responses or even dismissive feedback. This should not be interpreted as evidence that the RV is unreal. It simply indicates that the specific branch is not yet synchronized or updated. The rollout is occurring through carefully managed, deliberate stages. Therefore, instead of succumbing to the impulse to rush and react, the current phase should be utilized for meticulous preparation. This includes ensuring that any held currency is clean, meticulously documented, and securely stored. When the formal official notifications for exchange are finally released, being prepared will allow holders to act with immediate confidence and maximum efficiency. In this crucial period, intelligent, preemptive preparation is vastly more valuable than any emotional or rushed reaction. The crucial stage of international synchronization is currently being executed in a quiet manner across the entire global banking network. Foreign exchange platforms and major global banking entities are actively updating their intricate back-end systems to ensure absolute compatibility with Iraq's new rate framework. This requires far more than a simple, superficial software patch. It is a full-scale, deep recalibration of the entire global digital exchange architecture. Even a marginal shift of a few decimal points in a currency's value can significantly impact trade balances, complex loan agreements, and massive international investment portfolios worldwide. This is why the CBI and international regulatory bodies are performing these updates with such calculated methodology, proceeding one step at a time to retain total, tight control over the entire process. Frank has famously described the synchronization as a digital handshake, where the Iraqi banking network securely confirms its encrypted alignment with the international markets. Once this handshake is finalized, the new rate possesses the technical green light to display globally without any possible delay. The minor fleeting signs of system maintenance alerts on bank websites, temporary halts in currency conversion services, and subtle back-end infrastructure changes are the natural, technical ripples of this truly massive financial adjustment currently underway. Further confirming the active movement is a reported surge in internal communication among various financial institutions. Multiple banking insiders have confirmed the recent circulation of interbank memoranda specifically labeled Foreign Currency Synchronization Update. Over the past few weeks, these critical internal memos directly reference the imminent adjustment of rate tables linked to both the Iraqi Dinar and notably the Vietnamese Dong. In simplified terms, these banks are demonstrably deep in the process of integration. Frank emphasized that these internal memos are not accessible to the public because their content strictly concerns system preparation, not public trading activities. However, their very existence serves as a clear, real-world signal of irreversible progress. When major banks initiate this degree of detailed internal preparation well in advance of any public announcement, it is because the event has already been formally scheduled within their systems. Observers across the financial world recognize that this level of preparatory activity only occurs when a rate release is genuinely imminent. Frank also addressed the public synchronization window, which is the precise duration during which the internal tested rates are actively matched and aligned with external global systems. This critical window is currently open, and it is expected to close the moment every participating international bank confirms full, stable connectivity. In practical terms, this represents the very last operational phase before the new rate achieves universal public display. It is not a time for worry, it is a sign of nearing completion. During this period, it is entirely possible for foreign exchange applications to temporarily cease displaying updated data, for specific ATM networks to undergo unscheduled maintenance, and for governmental finance portals to refresh their internal databases. These highly technical signs frequently precede a major rate change. For both holders and observers, maintaining patience during this stage is absolutely vital. The process is not experiencing delays, it is reaching its final completion. The revaluation's potential impact on Iraq's domestic economy is immense. A stronger dinar immediately leads to a stabilization of domestic wages, significantly lowers inflationary pressures on consumer goods, and provides a massive boost to overall national confidence. For the average Iraqi citizen, it radically transforms the purchasing power inherent in their salaries and accumulated savings. For local businesses, it translates directly into easier access to necessary imports, a greater attraction for foreign investment, and the potential for substantial trade expansion. The government's overarching objective is to successfully create a sustainable national economy where the dinar becomes the preferred and dominant medium of exchange, displacing the reliance on the US dollar. Frank has highlighted that Iraq has already commenced settling certain major government contracts directly in dinars, a monumental confidence-building shift. This act demonstrates firm belief in their own currency and simultaneously prepares the populace for an economy that can genuinely stand on its own financial merits. Once international recognition of the new rate is fully locked in, Iraq is positioned to attract a wave of massive foreign investment. Businesses that previously hesitated due to the historical volatility and instability of the currency will now be presented with a predictable, valuable dinar to transact with. This is the mechanism by which a modern nation rebuilds its international financial credibility, not through political statements, but through numbers that possess and hold real, verifiable value on the global stage. Looking beyond the borders of Iraq, global markets are observing this transformation with intense scrutiny because it clearly signals a larger, ongoing trend: the deliberate shift toward diversified currency valuation. For many decades, the US dollar has maintained a dominant role in oil and commodity trade throughout the Middle East. However, as Iraq moves to progressively settle a growing portion of its energy transactions directly in its own dinars, it actively creates a pathway toward regional independence from dollar-based financial dependency. This change is foundational. Central banks across the Asian continent and the Gulf region are reportedly reviewing their strategic reserve strategies in direct anticipation of the emergence of stronger, regionally focused currencies. Frank noted that Iraq's progress could very well inspire similar, coordinated monetary reforms in neighboring countries that are also seeking greater, more sovereign control over their specific exchange rate policies. If the dinar successfully revalues and maintains stability, it has the potential to redefine trade relationships across the entire Middle East, with the ripple effect extending far beyond. Returning to the crucial topic of investor readiness, when the new rate is finally made publicly available, there will inevitably be a brief, intense period of rapid logistical adjustment. Exchange centers and banks are highly likely to experience extraordinarily high demand, and it is entirely possible that managed appointment systems may be put in place to manage the resulting heavy flow of exchanges. This logistical reality underscores the absolute importance of having your currency ready and properly verified now. Frank has strongly advised all holders to meticulously organize their notes, ensure they are in acceptable condition, and document any pertinent serial numbers as a supplementary layer of personal security. When the exchange process officially begins, the optimal path is to directly approach your bank's specialized foreign currency desk, rather than relying on general branch staff. These departments are specifically trained and authorized to handle large-scale, revalued currency transactions. Security and privacy are paramount concerns during any major financial transition. It is an unfortunate certainty that this time will see a spike in scams and the spread of opportunistic misinformation. Frank and other reliable analysts have consistently and repeatedly warned against any entity or individual offering pre-activation services or demanding any form of upfront fee. No legitimate financial institution will ever require you to surrender your currency for verification or charge a registration fee to simply facilitate your exchange. The ultimate defense against such attempts is accurate information and discretion. When the legitimate exchange process commences, it will be handled exclusively through official banking channels securely, quietly, and with professional due diligence. It is essential to keep all personal financial plans private, strictly avoiding the public sharing of specific amounts or transaction details. Wealth that is acquired rapidly must be managed with commensurate wisdom. Frank also addressed the deeply personal, emotional dimension of this multi-year journey. For years, countless holders faced an unrelenting wave of skepticism and dismissive doubt, frequently being told that the revaluation was a fantasy that would never materialize. Yet, those who maintained their patience and remained grounded in verified information are now witnessing the concrete signs of that reality materializing before them. This moment is far more than a financial transaction. It is a powerful symbol of endurance, conviction, and the power of sustained preparation. As Iraq transitions into this new, stronger economic epoch, those who maintain their belief in its eventual recovery are now witnessing a profound form of validation. Frank's advice is to remain humble, grounded, and deeply grateful when the moment of truth arrives. Sudden shifts in wealth can dramatically alter lives, but true sustainable success is an outcome of stability and sober financial wisdom. This event is not simply a currency transaction, it represents a comprehensive transformation for Iraq as a sovereign nation. It is also vital to highlight the broader, sophisticated technological foundation that underpins this entire operation. Over the recent past, Iraq has entered into strategic partnerships with major global digital payment systems to fully modernize its financial landscape. The widespread introduction of mobile banking applications, streamlined online transaction capabilities, and electronic ID verification systems has been an intentional component of the larger plan to successfully integrate Iraq into the global digital economy. Frank has clearly stressed that these advancements were necessary prerequisites. The revaluation could not have safely occurred until this crucial digital infrastructure was fully in place. Today, in 2025, that required technological foundation is deemed fully complete. Every element, from consumer mobile banking to large-scale international wire transfers, is now fully compatible with global systems. This guarantees that when the RV is finally announced, Iraq will be technologically equipped to effortlessly manage the anticipated surge in transaction volume and complexity. The required groundwork is not merely being built. It has already been constructed, extensively tested, and is currently waiting in a state of operational readiness. A final key element in this complex puzzle is oil, which remains Iraq's primary and most valuable export. Historically, oil sales were exclusively denominated in US dollars, which acted as a major constraint on the country's financial independence. However, recent, decisive government policies have initiated the process of demanding direct settlements in dinars with specific trading partners. This pivotal shift means Iraq is now successfully trading its oil in its own national currency, an action that exponentially strengthens international demand for the dinar. Frank described this move as achieving currency sovereignty, which is the fundamental ability of a nation to trade, invest, and grow its economy without being perpetually reliant on an external nation's currency. As more and more global trade partners accept the dinar for major transactions, its international demand will naturally and organically surge, providing sustainable support for the higher valuation being tested internally. This is the only way that real, lasting economic growth can sustainably support a currency revaluation, through a foundation of productive capacity, robust trade, and international confidence. While no definitive public date has been formally announced, the totality of the technical evidence points toward the final completion occurring well within this current quarter of 2025. Frank has consistently hinted that all the necessary technical conditions, the synchronization, the ledger updates, and the cross-bank validations, are now fully met. The only remaining variable is the precise timing of the public reveal, which central banks always calculate for the moment of maximum global market stability. The next few days or weeks could easily mark the visible transition. The development also holds profound political significance. A stronger, self-determined dinar represents Iraq's renewed sovereignty and its restored credibility on the world stage. After many years of focused economic rebuilding and necessary international oversight, Iraq is now clearly demonstrating a significant degree of fiscal maturity and control. The revaluation is therefore not only an economic occurrence, it is a declaration of national independence, signifying that Iraq is ready to confidently take its place among global economic powers. Frank has confirmed that multiple foreign diplomatic delegations have already held private, sensitive meetings to discuss major post-RV trade and investment partnerships. This level of high-stakes diplomatic engagement would simply not be taking place if the underlying process were not fully real and virtually guaranteed. Iraq's current leadership understands that a valuable, stable currency is the true backbone of national pride and a prerequisite for global influence. By actively controlling its own monetary destiny, Iraq is establishing a powerful example for other developing nations seeking similar financial independence. In review, The last 6 months have seen Iraq finalize deep digital infrastructure upgrades, fully implement advanced anti-money laundering protocols, and successfully complete extensive testing of cross-border payment systems. Following this, the critical internal rate adjustments were verified by multiple trusted insiders. The ultimate final stage of public alignment is currently unfolding as we speak. This systematic step-by-step transformation is the tangible proof that patience was a well-justified strategy. Every completed milestone has brought the revaluation closer to its final, public reality. All current, verifiable indicators overwhelmingly point toward full activation. The declaration that what's happening now is no longer an exaggeration, it is a statement of simple, verifiable observation. Everything that was required to align, the political will, the technical infrastructure, and the international banking network, has now aligned. Iraq is prepared, the banks are prepared, and soon, the world will be prepared to formally recognize the new value that accurately reflects the nation's true, emerging economic strength. In conclusion, the final advice from trusted sources like Frank is clear: those who prepared thoughtfully will be the ones who prosper. Those who allowed doubt and fear to prevail will watch this historical moment unfold from the sidelines. This extraordinary moment is not an outcome of pure luck. It is a direct result of meticulous preparation meeting a major global opportunity. The Iraqi dinar revaluation is truly more than a simple currency event. It is the powerful, compelling narrative of a nation consciously reclaiming its rightful place in the complex global economy. For holders and longtime believers, this represents the clear, decisive turning point they have anticipated for years. For Iraq, it signifies the unequivocal dawn of a new chapter, one that will be permanently defined by financial independence, rapid innovation, and newfound international respect. Maintain a state of heightened alertness, remain calm, and base all future actions on confirmed, verifiable information. The revaluation is no longer a prospect looming on the distant horizon, it is actively happening right now, behind the digital screens, deep inside the financial systems, and soon, it will be visible for the entire world to see.